Well, Hare Krishna, it's great Srivas, Vanacari. There are only two of us here, so I guess we can start. Hopefully, maybe some others will join. I'm not sure.
Well, Sunday is a busy day for everyone. And I don't know, so Gyana Gyanan Gyanashalakaya Chakshuromlitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Mano Bistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yukta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavam Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunastam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitam Scha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Iti Namini Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Ashri Tatmane Shri Gora Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tetariti Namini Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvese Sasuyavadi Pasachahade Satarini Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindubhya ivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vajalam pangam lagayate grim yat kripatamahad bande Shri Guru Dina Taradam Paramanam Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram Akanda Mandala Karam Vyaptayana Characharam Talpadam Dashitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, welcome everyone to today's session. We continue with our discussion on Canto 3, Chapter 20.
Srivas Vanacari's internet, I think, went off. So hopefully it will join back soon. Okay.
कुञ्ज विहारी गोपीजना बाला बाजयो गिरिवर धारी गोपीजना बाला बाजयो गिरिवर धारी यशोदानन्दना जय ब्रज जन रंजन 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 जमुना तीरवनचारी जय कुञ्ज विहारी जमुना तीरवनचारी जय कुञ्ज विहारी यशोदानन्दना जय ब्रज जन रंजन जय राधा माधव कुञ्ज विहारी।
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. My power went off, so I have to resort to my backup. That's why we went up. There's light off in this in our area here. Anyway, so 3, chapter 22, entitled The Marriage of Kadarama Muni and Devahuti. We are at the tail end of the chapter, and we're going to look at the life of Swayambhava Manu after he had married off his daughter to Kadarama Muni and went back to his city, his capital city. But his Puri, how he led his life. And we say from text 31 to 37, you should read them and extract one point that is applicable to their lives, relevant to their lives. And then we will discuss that in the first part of the class before we move on to chapter 23, the lamentation of Devahuti. So, can we start the exercise? Even though the class is not full, we have 3 students or so, we can begin and see whether others will join or they won't join. We won't wait for them. So, Sarika Prabhu, can you?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Oma Gyanam Timirandasya Gyana Gyana Shalakaya. Shaksho Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Soyam Rupa Kadamayam. Vedanti Swam Padanti Kam. Vanchakarpata Rubias Chakripas Sundubias Evas Chapatitanam Pavashnevyo. Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. So the exercise is that to read Prabhupada's translation of the text of 3rd Canto, chapter 22, text number 31, and to pick out points Prabhupada made in the purport and its application in my personal life. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. I offer my respectful obeisances to the Supreme Personality of God, Narayan, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author of the Srimad Bhagavatam, to Srila Prabhupada, the founder chair of ISKCON, and to my dear spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Tita Swami, who by his mercy, we have this opportunity to come in contact with the great part of the wise people.
Mm-hmm.
And I said the wise with all sense of its meaning, because this verse is talking about the wise one.
Mm.
So I'll read the Sanskrit and read the text, and then I'll explain in 2-3 minutes as requested.
All right.
Kusaka samayam bahi astilya bhagavan manu ayajad yajna purusham labdas tanam yato bhuvam. So I will escape the what synonyms because of time. And the translation says, Manu spread a seat of Kusha and Kushas and worship the Lord, the personality of Godhead, by whose grace he had obtained the rule of the terrestrial globe. And the purport reads, Manu is the father of mankind, and therefore from Manu comes the word man, or in Sanskrit, Manusya. Those who are in a better position in the world, having sufficient wealth, should especially take lessons from Manu, who acknowledge his kingdom and opulence to be gifts from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus always engage in devotional service. Similarly, the descendants of Manu, or human beings, especially those who are situated in a well-to-do condition, must consider that whatever riches they have are gifts from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those riches should be utilized for the service of the Lord in sacrifices performed to please Him. That is the way of utilizing wealth and opulence. No one can achieve wealth, opulence, and good bed, a beautiful body, or nice education. Sorry. There was a little distraction. Therefore, those who are in possession of such valuable facility must acknowledge their gratefulness to the Lord, by whose worship Him, of the Lord, by worshiping Him and offering what they have received from Him. When such acknowledgement is given, either by a family, a nation, or a society, their abode becomes almost like Vaikuntha, and it becomes free from the operation of the threefold mazes of this material world. In the modern ages, the mission of Krishna consciousness is for everyone to acknowledge the supreme mercy of the Lord, of Lord Krishna. Whatever one has in his possession must be considered a gift by the grace of the Lord. Therefore, everyone should engage in devotional service through Krishna consciousness. If one wants to be happy and peaceful in his position, either as a householder or citizen or member of human society, one must promote devotional service for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna. So this is the statement, continuation from these discussions, as was said earlier. Here, particularly, Manu is speaking and is exhibiting the quality of a wise man. It is said that there are two types of living entities in this material world, the wise and the otherwise. What you can call the devotee and those who are non-devotees, or the devotees and the materialists. And Lord Krishna carefully distinguishes those who are wise. In the Bhagavad Gita, where he said in the first verse of this chapter, sloka, where he says, Aham sarvasya prabhava, mata sarva prabhatate, iti matwa bhajanti mam udabhava samanvita. And in that verse, Lord Krishna, as translated by Srila Prabhupada, said, I'm the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly knew this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So this is the distinguishing factor that distinguishes a foolish or unwise or otherwise person from a wise person. And that is what Manu is exhibiting here. Manu is acknowledging and exhibiting what Lord Krishna says in this verse of the Bhagavad Gita, that is a wise person, because the symptom of that wise person is that he acknowledges the personality of Godhead and he gives everything back to him in devotion, which is what Lord Krishna says, that those who are wise, they surrender to me and they worship me in devotion or service. The progenitor of the human being, Lord Brahma himself says that in the Bhagavad, in the invocation of the Upanishad, where he says that Ishwara Paraman Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadya Di Govindam Sarvakaranam Kanana, acknowledging that the Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. So this is the mentality, this is the mood of those who are wise. And as sadakas, as it is said, even in material knowledge, that one who wants to be great has to follow the path of a great personality. So Lord Krishna has spoken that this is the symptom of a wise or great personality. Lord Brahma, who is the progenitor, has exhibited that by acknowledging the supreme and offering everything back to the Lord. And Manu, the father of mankind, here also is doing the same thing, acknowledging the supreme personality of Godhead and attributing all of his successes, achievement to that same personality. So as a sadhaka, it is our primary duty to follow in the footsteps of this person in our lifestyle by acknowledging that the supreme personality of God, Krishna, is the fountainhead, is the source of everything. Everything is belonging to him, as it is said in the Savasya verse of the Upanishad. And that we should offer everything back to him is devotion. And as Prabhupada mentioned in the purport, this is the way of success for anyone, irrespective of their position, whether as a nation, as a society, as a family man, as an individual person. And this we try to live in our own practical life, since we took to the path of devotional service. And a practical experience was something that happened in my life yesterday. There was something very huge that happened, and I was being cheated materially. And by normal right, I was supposed to go to court and then prosecute the person. So when everybody gathered in the course of settling the matter, so I told them, I said, well, I let everything go. And people were asking me, how can you, even the person that was representing me as a lawyer was asking, I said, how can you just give everything up like that? I said, well, ultimately everything belongs to God. And whatever we are able to do is all whatever God has permitted. So I leave everything onto the hands of God, who has made it possible for me. And I know that he can replenish me. So this is what I practice in my daily life. We're not 100% perfect, but we're trying to do this, which is what those who are great persons have done. And by trying to do this, we believe that one day we will become also a wise man. Presently, we're trying to be a wise person, but we believe that by this systematic practice of this in our practical day-to-day life, we also become wise one day. So because it's not a whole full class, I'm stopping here. Thank you for giving me the opportunity, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Well, the point I picked is that acknowledging the supremacy of Lord Krishna and offering our possessions to him. That is what I have picked from your presentation. So and as you said, you're already applying that to your life. So that is the application, the personal application. Personal application means that there is something important in the verse. There is an instruction or a point that is relevant for our own spiritual growth, and we want to apply it in our own life so that we can move forward. So I think we can move on to the next person, because we still want to use part of the time for the next chapter. So I think the next person is Madhuvan Prabhu. What I want us to be a bit more brief. I don't want you able to read the whole purport. It's taking time. You're supposed to have read the purport and pick the point. So you can just read the translations and go straight to the point you have picked, and just explain how you are going to apply that point in your life, or how you're already applying that point in your life as a personal application, so that we can minimize the time, because some purports may be very long, and to read the whole purport, it will take a lot of time. So the exercise is that you are supposed to have read through, pick the point down before this time, so you just go straight to the point. So that is what I'm expecting from all of you. So Madhuvan Prabhu, can you?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
God bless you, Prabhupada. God bless you, Krishna Pad, and all the assembled of devotees. Vishnu Pada Paramsa, Bhakti Chaya, Sakara Satai Divine Case, AC Bhakti Danta, Swami Prabhupada Maharaki, Nama Acharya Sakoti, Premsa Kausi Krishna Chitaya, Prabhu Nitzala, Shyadvita Gadara Swasadi Guru Bhakta Vinaya, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Thank you very much, Maharaj, for giving me this very wonderful opportunity. So we are going to test 32. That was so much time. The translations. Having entered the city of Vaismati, in which he had previously lived, man entered his palace, which was filled with an atmosphere that eradicated the three modes of material nature. So, having read the purport, what strikes me is the situation where man in his palace, it was explained that he created a spiritual atmosphere by spreading the spirit of Christian consciousness. So my curiosity is, I try to envision or imagine what the palace would look like. From my imagination, I believe he has very much decorated a palace with Krishna's paraphernalia, maybe the pictures, the artistic work, so that it created an atmosphere whereby whichever angle you look at, you remember Krishna, either through the pictures. And also, I could imagine the musical musicians playing bhajan just for the glorification of Krishna. And also another section where people are enjoying the nectar of Krishna's kata. So in lieu of this, it fires up my own determination to make sure that in my private abode and also in the temple, I try to create this atmosphere, spiritual atmosphere, by putting more laminations, pictures, around the temples, and even in my personal house, and also engage from time to time, speaking about Krishna, getting to the members, and so that all the time, even my environment will be surcharged by spiritual atmosphere. So I quite appreciate this text as it explains what happens when man enters this palace. It was filled with the atmosphere that eradicated the three modes of material nature. So just like Krishna also explained in the Bhagavad Gita, that we should fire up our devotional service in text 1426. Man chayo yabicharima saguna samatya cham pramambhyaya kalpate. That is, one who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, and once transcend the modes of material nature, and thus come to the level of Brahman. So this spiritual atmosphere will help one to easily get to this level of Brahman, which is transcendental level. And on this platform, one will be able to rise above the effects of the three modes of material nature. And also, by creating spiritual atmosphere, you can also have some, like Krishna explained by Gita 18:65, that Mama na baba madva majadi ma namaskuru Mamibayasi Satyamte Pratijane Priyos, that is, always think of me, come and devotees, worship me and offer your religion to me. Once you come to me without faith, I promise you this because you are so dear to me. So this will also enhance one's always be able to think of Krishna. And finally, in Bhagavad Gita 8:15 also explains that Mam Pita Punajama Tukalaya Asaswata. Apunati Mahatmana Sam Siddhi Param Katin, that is, after obtaining the great souls who are yogis in devotion, never return to this temporary world, which is full of mystery because they have attained the highest perfection. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. You see, it is nice to quote some verses to support what you're saying, but actually, it's not a class. I think the exercise, you should understand the exercise well, it's not a class for you to preach, is that you pick a point and then you apply it to your life, or you want to apply it to your life. For instance, the first point you think is sufficient, that Manu fill the atmosphere of his palace with spiritual activity. And in this way, he eradicated the three miseries of material existence. That's the main point in your discussion. So how do you apply that in your own life? You mentioned it, but because you brought on many other things, you do not highlight how you apply that. So if you pick the point that you want to make, you want to fill your environment, you want to fill your residence with Krishna conscious activity, that is the point. So how do you do that? By regular kirtan, by prolonged japa, by discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, by doing some program that would fill the environment with spiritual activity. The exercise is not for you to quote verses from here and there. The exercise is you pick a point and then you see how you can use that point to make advancement on the path of bhakti. So when they say pick a point for personal application, you pick the point and you tell us how you're going to apply it in your life. It's not saying points, it's a point, just one point. And you see how you're going to apply it in your life. If it is a preaching application, then that is where you preach. So we have to understand the goals of these exercises. If it is personal application, it means how you're going to apply it in your life. If it is preaching application, then you have to explain it to the public, and that involves preaching. If it is mood and mission, you look at it how Prabhupada had utilized those very points or those very activity to enhance his preaching mission. So we have to be very clear when we are talking about personal application and preaching application and mood and mission. Otherwise, we are using personal application to preach. Then you will miss the point because it's not preaching application, it's personal application. So you have to understand the exercise and just do it as it is required. Otherwise, you may not get the point you want to get. The point and let us know how you want to apply that point in your life. Finish. 2-3 minutes, finish. You don't need to quote verses here and there. We don't need scriptural evidences. No, all that we want is pick one point and tell us how you want to apply it in your life. Bas, no more than that. So, but you have mentioned the point, you mentioned many other points, and it becomes a discussion. No, that's not the goal. The goal is to show how you want to apply the point or the exercise or the way Manu went about his life. You appreciate one point, you take it, and you want to apply it. So I'm just saying this so that the rest of the students can understand. We should not follow this this trend of wanting to. It's not preaching application. Preaching application, that's where you can preach, you can quote verses of support. This is personal application. And personal application means how are you going to use that point you have picked in your life? That is the essence of the exercise. So having said that, I think we should go to the next person. Who is the next person who is available?
Tama Krishna.
Yeah, Tamara Krishna Prabhu.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
The next person.
Accept my humble obeisances. Yes. My verse is 37.
Yep.
Yes. And say, therefore, O Vidura, how can person completely under the shelter of the Lord Krishna in devotional service be put into miseries pertaining to the body, the mind, nature, and other men? and all living creatures. And then I'll read a small purport. It says, every living entity within this material world is always affected.
I think, Haribo, you are following the same trend. I've talked about it. It means you have not read the verse. That's why it is like this. If you have read the verse, you should just pick one point. It means you have not read the verse, you have not read the purport, and that is now you're going to read for us. That is not the exercise. The exercise is to read it on your own and pick the point and just share with us. That's an exercise.
All right.
So, but it means you have not read the verse, so you have to read the purport now and pick a verse. So when we is given an exercise, we should do the exercise. If we don't do it, then there is no use in giving the exercise.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I'll continue.
And you continue.
So
it means
here,
you have not read the verse. Yeah, you continue.
So I read it.
So if you have read it, what is the point you have picked? You should write down the point. Write it down.
Yes, the point. Yes, sorry, Maharaj. Sorry for interrupt.
You talk.
Yes, Maharaj, the point is, for a Christian or a devotee, anything can happen on you. Like measles, you can sick, but once you are living entity under this material world, those things, measles and those things are bound to happen. So when it's happening, you have to accept it, because when Krishna is in control, there's nothing you can do. So it's a challenge for you, just for Krishna to see whether you understand the line, the trend you are following or not. So for me, when those things are happening for me, I just absorb it and thank God for that. Is the mercy of Krishna. That's why those things happen on me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, that is okay. So what you picked out is that distresses are bound to happen. Miseries are bound to happen because we are in a material body. So when these miseries happen, we accept it as Krishna's mercy. So that is the point. You just pick one point and tell us how you want to apply it in your life. Miseries cannot be escaped. Miseries are in a material world. We have to encounter miseries. And when these miseries come, we shall accept it as Krishna's mercy. Done. Okay. Thank you. Chitraketu Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare
This accept
Krishna.
my humble obeisance. Jai. Good day, Kichai. So Maharaj, please, my test is test 38.
Okay.
And I'll read the text and translation so that I carry on from there.
So you're also following the same tradition?
No. Just because I just have to, as an audience, I have to let you know that it's okay. Let me go to my point. My point is, the point in it is he said that the point in it is Manu, so Ambuba Manu, out of compassion for all living entities, taught the diverse sacred duties in general and the different varnas and ashram. So the point in it is the sacred duties, the diverse sacred duties for all men in the different ashrams. So the sacred duties are the duties that we perform to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his other superiors to us. So practically, me being, I take myself as an example, being a brahmachari ashram and cultivating, learning knowledge in that, all the knowledge that I'm learning, the essence is to be able to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to be able to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and also share the knowledge that I am acquiring for the benefit of people, so that people also do not fall into the pit of ignorance. So to acquire knowledge and to preach to other people, that is what I'm trying to do, to preach and to enlighten people about others, and also to perform their sacred duties to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, like offering obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and its representatives, like the spiritual masters and the spiritual teachers, and worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, like the deity worship and all of that, as I'm doing now, as a temple president and as a pujari also. So this, and also preaching to people. This is my point I'm trying to apply, and I've already started applying them. So that is it. Hare Krishna. I think Maharaj is gone off.
He's having a challenge with the lights and network. So wait a little bit for him. But I just think that he's been a practical teacher, trying to bring out the best from his students.
Yes, that is very true.
You see now it's trying to connect his voice.
Yes.
Fluctuating, sorry.
Your voice is not still properly connected yet.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Sorry,
I think I have to do my own again.
Yeah,
The
my
line went.
internet. But I think I picked the point. What you are saying is that you are receiving knowledge and you have to distribute that knowledge. And then the duties given to the different ashrams and the different duties, different varnas, you are ready to execute those duties. So I think I get a point. Maybe yes. I was thinking you have just said.
The line went up also. I added with worshiping of the Supreme as the sacred, as a pujari also, worshiping of the Supreme Lord and his representatives, the gurus and all of that. All of those are examples of the sacred duties. Yes.
Okay. So your point here is the sacred duties of man.
Yes.
So that includes worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, worshiping the acharyas, and then of course demonstrate compassion by teaching the knowledge.
Yes.
So that is relevant. It's relevant for you as a devotee. A devotee has to be compassionate, and out of compassion, he distributes knowledge. And the devotee has to execute sacred duties according to Varna, according to Ashram, for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for the pleasure of the Acharyas. So that is a personal application. And even though there is no purport to the verse, you've been able to pick out something from. Actually, we don't need a very long passage. We don't need a long purport. It's just the essence that is contained in the verse and the essence that is contained in the purport. You just look for one point that you want to utilize, you want to apply to your life, or you're already applying to your life. That is personal application. So this exercise is to allow us to understand these objectives, as the Shastric study objectives. It is meant to help us because it is going to be tested. It is going to be tested in your presentation, in your individual lectures. It is expected that you will touch upon issues relating to personal application, issues relating to preaching application, issues relating to mood and mission, and sometimes issues relating to academic integrity. So therefore, you need to practice. You need to practice it. You need to be guided so that you can understand a difference between what is personal application, what is preaching application, what is mood and mission, what is version of integrity or academic integrity. These are the goals of academic study. So anything you are studying, you should be able to extract something from it that you can apply to your own life, something from it you can use it to teach others, which is a preaching application, or something you can see that magnifies Prabhupada's life, Prabhupada's mission, or something that will enhance your academic integrity or Vaishnava integrity. So when we study scripture, we can always analyze the scripture based on these objectives. So it is important that we understand them. If we don't understand these goals, then we can just study the scripture, just read and go. Generally, that's what people who don't do systematic study, they just read and go. But if you ask them, what is the personal application in this verse? They will find it difficult. Or if you say, what is the preaching application in this verse? They will find it difficult. Or you say, what is the mood and mission of Srila Prabhupada in this verse? They will find it difficult because they have not gone through the systematic training in the study of Shastra. So the Shastric study program brings out all these points so that we can be equipped with all these skills for practicing, for preaching, and for inspiring people. So that is the goal. We should be able to identify what is personal application. We should be able to identify what is preaching application. We should be able to identify mood. Actually, from one verse, if you experience, you can find personal application, you can find preaching application, you can even find mood and mission if you experience. I remember some essays in the Bhakti Shastri. Students were asked to write some essays. They were supposed to write on the mood and mission of Srila Prabhupada from some verses back in Mayapur. And some students found it very difficult to write essays on mood and mission on those verses because it does not directly talk about Prabhupada's activities. So some students approached me, some Bhakti Shastri students approached me, and they were complaining that they cannot find anything on Prabhupada's mood and mission in these verses. So how are they going to write an essay on it? I said, well, because you are not expanding your thinking, you are not thinking broadly. You have not absorbed the skills. You have not actually gotten the skills to identify what is personal application, what is preaching application, what is mood and mission, what is Vaishnava integrity or academic integrity. You have not understood these things properly. And that's why you cannot find mood and mission in these verses. And I pointed out a number of, even one word, from that one word, you can find Prabhupada's mood and mission from that one word. And the students were surprised that from those so-called dry sentences, we can still find Prabhupada's mood and mission in them. So the whole purport or the whole exercise is to give you the opportunity, the student opportunity to identify what is mood and mission, what is spiritual application, what is personal application. That is the whole purpose. And once you study Srimad Bhagavatam, once you study Bhagavad Gita, and on the other Bhakti Shastras, you should be able to identify when you can apply personally, when you can apply as a preaching application, and when you can apply as mood and mission. Is there anybody else who is there to also make his presentation before we move on? Anybody else is here?
No, they are absent.
No. Absent. Okay. So I don't think we're going to wait for them. So I want us to move on to chapter 23, which is the lamentation of the Vahuti's lamentation. 1 hour is already gone. We only have 1 more hour left. So, but I hope I am clear with the points I'm making. I'm just trying to let you understand the difference between personal application and preaching application, mood and mission, and so on. We should be able to identify these things. If they say personal application, it means something that relates to you, something you can apply in your life, something you're already doing in your life, in your spiritual practice. So if they say identify points for personal application, you're looking for points that can enhance your spiritual progress, things you can apply. Like for instance, this Manu making his palace full of Krishna consciousness. It's a very important thing. If we are surrounded by Krishna conscious activities, and if we are 24 hours engaged in some spiritual activity, we can turn our environment into such a spiritual environment. It doesn't necessarily mean we must create a palace. No, even if you live in a small room, the essence is to have Krishna conscious activity in that place 24 hours. So you are converting that place into a spiritual atmosphere. So personal application means the point that will enhance your spiritual life. When it's preaching application, it means you are going to explain to the public. So that is where preaching is required. But personal application, preaching is not required. It is how do you apply? So these differences should be known. So, and then the more we practice, the more we understand, actually. The more we practice these things, the more we understand the differences. What is personal application? What is preaching application? What is mood and mission? What is Vaishnava integrity, academic integrity? That they are important. That makes a difference between somebody who is studying in our institution, like Mayapur Institute or Vrindavan Institute, than somebody just staying at home and reading the book. If you read the book at home, you will not understand all these academic objectives. You can understand. So that makes a difference, that the students are trained, they're given skills, they are guided so they can actually apply the scripture in their lives, utilize the scripture to preach, and utilize the scripture to inspire others. So that is the exercise that we are doing.
Yeah,
okay.
Thank you.
If there are any
Yes,
points,
Maharaj,
and there are
thank
some
you.
questions, Hare Krishna, if somebody has some question or some point, I think Chaitanya Prabhu is also on the platform. So if he wants to make a contribution as far as these academic goals are concerned, he can also say something.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much, Maharaj, for giving me the opportunity. Actually, you are our teachers. You are my teacher. So once you are there, all that I can say about that is already said. One thing I learned from you was that, for instance, if you want to identify mood and mission, anywhere you see in this Krishna consciousness,
That's right.
this Krishna consciousness movement, that means Prabhupada, or this Krishna consciousness movement is established to provide platform for Vaishnava Sangha or for doing the giving loving exchanges among devotees. And immediately that is mood and mission. You see, anywhere you see this Krishna consciousness is established for, or is established by founder acharyas like Prabhupada for Vaishnava Sangha, for practicing the limbs of the together. This is mood and mission. So this is one thing I got from you, and anywhere I see mood and mission, I can really identify it. In this Krishna consciousness, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has done this, see, and immediately you see. So you can expand on it. Then you begin to glorify, show your gratitude to Prabhupada for providing the opportunity for you also to be there, even though you are not literally qualified. Like that. Before you finish the message, yeah, this is mood and mission, you got it. Then the same thing you should do to identify the key points that we signal that this is preaching application, this is Vaishnava integrity, this is about understanding, like that. So especially that mood and mission, I pick it. Anytime I read, I see I say this is mood and mission. Anytime I'm saying it, I'm very happy. When I connect my preaching and end it up with the mood and mission, I'm always very happy that at least I've glorified the Prabhupada for bringing this to us. So that is one point. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you. It's a very important point, actually. Wherever you see in this, our Krishna consciousness movement, immediately you should know that it's Buddha mission. Or this movement is established for this, immediately you can understand in Prabhupada's Buddha mission. So thank you for sharing those points with the students. So anyway, let's move on so that we can do something with the chapter 23, Lamentation of Devahuti. Let's see. Maybe you can, Sanika Prabhu, you can make me a co-host so that I can share the PowerPoint. So you can see I'm using my text 1 says Maitreya Uvacha Pritibhyam Prastite Sadvi Patim Ingita Kovida Nityam Pariyachara Pritya Bhavaniva Bhavam Prabhum. Translation, Maitreya Muni continued. After the departure of her parents, the chaste woman Devahuti, who could understand the desires of her husband, served him constantly with great love, as Bhavani, the wife of Lord Shiva, serves her husband. So actually there's an overview of the chapter, section overview from verse 1 to 11. After the departure of her parents, Devahuti, neglecting her own body, served her husband constantly with intimacy, great respect, love, and sweet words. And from 12 to 38, Sage Kadarma exercised his yogi power and instantly produced a very opulent and well-decorated 70-story aerial mansion that could travel at its own will. And 38 to 48, this is a very long chapter. In that aerial mansion, he traveled to the pleasure valleys of Mount Meru, in different heavenly gardens, and by the Manasa Sarovar Lake, enjoying with his wife for many years. And then the last section, 49 to 57, when she saw her husband about to leave home, Devahuti requested Kadamba to give her the gift of fearlessness, lamenting that they wasted so much time in sense gratification. She laments that she obtained Kadama's association, which gives liberation from material bondage, but she did not seek such liberation. So these are the different sections, 4 sessions of the chapter. So we hope we can cover the first session today. So the first verse, which we just read, character of an ideal wife. Devahuti was the daughter of an emperor, Swayambhuva Manu, yet she preferred to accept Kadarma Muni as her husband. She served him with great love and affection, and she knew how to please him. Therefore, she is designated here as Sadhvi, which means a chaste, faithful wife. Her rare example is the ideal of Vedic civilization. Every woman is expected to be as good and chaste as Devahuti or Bhavani. So, there are many chaste women in the history of the world. But in this verse, Bhavani, the wife of Lord Shiva, is mentioned. So, the standard of behavior of a wife, of course, a chaste wife, is the standard set by Bhavani and Devahuti. And that is the service attitude. Is mentioning here that after the departure of her parents, Devahuti served her husband constantly with great love, so service with respect. So it says she served him with great love and affection. So that is the etiquette, that is the mood a woman should put up before the husband. Gora Vena Vishram Bena. There should be intimacy, but there should also be respect. So Devahuti is exemplifying that. She, even though she is a princess, she comes from the palace where life is very comfortable. But now she is in the forest with her tapaswi husband, yogic husband, who had been living the life of a yogi. So she has to adjust herself to accommodate the lifestyle of the husband. So it's a very difficult situation for Devahuti, because she was used to comfort, a lot of comfort in the palace. But now she's in a hermitage where there is zero comfort. It's just the opposite. Austerities, no proper feeding, roots, leaves, herbs. That is the food in the forest. No bed, no mattresses, you sleep on the floor. So it's a very tough time for Devahuti. Yet, she is ready to serve the husband under any circumstance. She is ready to demonstrate her affection to the husband under any circumstance. So that is the hallmark of a chaste woman. A chaste woman is prepared to do anything for her husband, even if she is inconvenienced. And that is how they become very powerful, because they accept all the austerities and difficulties to serve the husband under trying conditions. They become very powerful. They become empowered. Like we hear of the story of the leper who had a very chaste wife. But this leper was very lusty. He had seen a beautiful prostitute and he wanted to enjoy the prostitute. So the wife, being a chaste woman, wanted to please her husband, but they had no money to pay. They had no money to pay the prostitute so the husband can enjoy the prostitute. So the wife became a maidservant to the prostitute so that he will serve the prostitute until the prostitute is satisfied and allows her husband to enjoy her body. That is very difficult, very big challenge for a wife to serve another woman in order to pay a price for the husband to enjoy the body of that woman. It's a very big challenge for this woman. But because it's a chaste woman and her desire is to please the husband, she was ready to go to any length to satisfy the husband. That is a sign of chastity. A chaste woman will undergo any inconvenience whatsoever just to satisfy the husband. And because she did that, the whole universe was behind her. Because she did that, she became empowered. That when he was carrying the husband in a basket and he touched a saintly man, and a saintly man cursed him that he would die by the sunset of the day, this woman, she said, then the sun will never set. Whatever Shakti she had, whatever empowerment she had, she stopped the sun from setting. And Lord Brahma had to come and say, all right, the curse should be withdrawn because the woman is interfering with the universal arrangement. It's not allowing the sun to set. So the curse has to be withdrawn. And the husband did not die as pronounced by the sage. So chastity brings empowerment. In fact, our present day women, they don't understand this principle. They think when they just flirt around with so many men, that is pleasure. But actually they deprive themselves of empowerment. When a woman is chaste and a woman preserves her body and a woman confines herself to her husband and she's ready to sacrifice her convenience for the pleasure of the husband, then she becomes very much empowered. So we'll see how Devahuti, because she inconvenienced herself for the pleasure of Kandarma Muni, she became the mother of Kapila Dev. She became exalted in her devotional service because she accepted all the inconveniences in forest life just to be with her husband. So, and she did not, she served her husband with love and affection. She served her husband with respect. She did everything possible to please the husband. Therefore, she became empowered. So here it is said, the examples of ideal wives are Bhavani or Parvati, daughter of the king of Himalayas, selected by Lord Shiva, who appeared like a beggar as her husband. And in spite of being a princess, she took the trouble of associating with Lord Shiva, who did not even have a house, but sitting underneath a big banyan tree, performing meditation. Although Bhavani was the daughter of a great king, she used to serve Lord Shiva like a poor woman. So similarly, Devahuti, the daughter of Swayambhuva Manu, also served her saintly husband nicely. So he said Lord Shiva is the ideal husband and Bhavani is the ideal wife. Not in terms of riches or sense gratification, but because he is the greatest devotee of the Lord. He's an ideal Vaishnava. He is constantly meditating on Lord Ram and is chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So therefore, married girls, Hindu girls, they worship Lord Shiva in order to get a good husband like himself. It is considered a great fortune to get a husband to be like this man. It doesn't know I'm giving class. It's calling. So it's a great fortune to get a husband to be a Vaishnava like Lord Shiva. And as a wife shares the devotional credits of the husband, so if one marries an exalted Vaishnava like Lord Shiva, one is fortunate. In order to get an ideal wife, the following types of girls should be avoided. So, just for your information, that if one wants an ideal wife, the following girls should be avoided. Girls brought up by low caste people. Girls with hairs all over their body. Girls born from morally weak families. Girls who are very sickly, bad-tempered or ill-natured girls. Girls with hereditary diseases. A girl who has a male voice. Girls with the voice of a crow. Girls with thick eyebrows or eyebrows touching each other. Girls with round eyes like an owl. Girls with hairs on the legs. Girls who are too tall or too short. So these are guidelines for those who are yet to marry.
All right. All right, please, can you repeat that again?
On those who have sons and they are looking for wives for them, these are important. One, girls brought up by low caste parents. Low caste. Girls with hairs all over their body. Girls not born of a good family. You know, we should know the family background. If their families are not good, we should not marry from there. Girls who are sickly. If one is looking very sickly, we should not bring her into the family. Girls with bad temper or ill-natured. Girls with a hereditary disease. In some families, they have some hereditary diseases like asthma, like diabetes. There are some hereditary diseases that are found in some families. Girls with a male voice. Some women, their voice, they're like men. So those girls should be avoided. A girl with a male voice should be avoided. Girls with a voice of a crow. This I don't know how to identify this one. And girls with a voice of a crow, they should be avoided. Girls with thick eyebrows, or the eyebrows are touching each other, they're joining. Girls with round eyes like an owl. They're asking me to repeat it for him to write. Girls with hairs on their legs. Girls who are too tall or too short. So there are 12 points. Is that okay, Prabhu?
Yes, Maharaj.
You got all the
Thank
points?
you. Yes.
Okay. There are a lot
Thank
of
you,
young
sir.
people around you. You should advise them also.
Okay. Yes,
You can
thank you
give
so much.
a seminar on this for the young ones.
Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
So I want to ask. So when
Yes.
you already fall in those areas, when you already fall into those categories, what is the outcome?
Well, Chan Hare Krishna. There's nothing you can do. If you're already falling into the situation, you just pray to Krishna, chant Hare Krishna, and hope and pray that she will change or she will improve. Because there's no, divorce is not allowed. You've done it out of ignorance, and there is no way you can avoid it. You're already inside it. So you just keep it like that, and then I pray to Krishna to help you to tolerate. Krishna should increase your tolerance level so you can tolerate the situation. Is that okay, Prabhu?
Actually, this is the moment that Chitraketu Putra Prabhu has been waiting for. This is the moment we are waiting for. You got it. You see, it's good to attend classes. It's
Yes,
good
of course. Yes.
You send message to Yadunas and Kamalas.
Yes.
This is good to attend classes. Any other thing, once any other program come up, you just abandon class. Once any other program, you just abandon the class. As if it's this is where you were before that program is coming. So you should see how to fit in that program to your existing program. Now you abandon what you are doing to follow another program. I say that means, I mean, so please.
Yes. The Bhagavatam is very enlightening. It is very enlightening. It shows you everything. That is one thing I like about it.
Everything is in the Bhagavatam. Everything is there.
And particularly, this is the very moment you have been waiting for. And you got it. Because you are all glories to you. Thank you. All glories to
Thank you. Thank you.
You got it timely. Some people got it late and they are lamenting right now.
Yes, I see. Yes, I'm very much aware. Thank you so much. It's by Krishna's arrangement.
So anyway, we move to text 2. Text 2 says, Vishrambein natma sochina goravena damena cha sushrusaya sohiridena vacha maduraya chabho. Translation. O Vidura, Devahuti served her husband with intimacy and great respect, with control of the senses, with love and with sweet words. The slide says, rendering service with intimacy and respect. The husband is a very intimate friend. Therefore, the wife must render service just like an intimate friend. And at the same time, she must understand that the husband is superior in position, and thus she must offer him all respects. A man's psychology and a woman's psychology are different. As constituted by a bodily frame, a man always wants to be superior to his wife, and a woman, as bodily constituted, is naturally inferior to the husband. So, 2 words here are very important: Vishrambena and Gauravena, as mentioned in the verse. Vishrambenadma Sochana Gauravena Daminacha. Vishrambena means intimacy, and Gauravena means respect. So for a happy nuptial relationship, this etiquette must be observed. If the wife, Prabhupada mentions, if the wife wants to compete with the husband, their nuptial relationship would be spoiled. There'll be a lot of trouble. Because man's psychology is different from woman's psychology. A man wants to feel superior. And therefore, the woman must know that. She must know that. She must understand that my husband must be respected as superior. He must be given the necessary respect. Even though there is intimacy between husband and wife. And because there is intimacy, there is always the tendency to become familiar. As the saying goes, familiarity breeds contempt. When you are very familiar with somebody, you devalue him. You don't give him the necessary respect. So because of intimacy between husband and wife, that familiarity becomes prominent. And as a result, sometimes the woman does not give the proper respect. And that brings quarrels, misunderstanding, and many other unfortunate developments. So here, the mood and the etiquette with which a woman can keep the nuptial home, the family home happy, is by observing these two things. So here it says, Vishrambena and Gauravena are the two processes by which a wife serves the husband or a devotee serves the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vishrambena means intimacy without familiarity, because familiarity breeds contempt. According to Vedic civilization, the etiquette is a woman should not call the husband by the name. Unlike the modern practice of women calling their husbands by their names. No, a woman should not call the husband by the name. It is it's lack of etiquette. If a woman shouts out the husband's name, it means she has no understanding of etiquette. Damena means a wife has to learn to control herself, even in the event of misunderstanding. Damena means mind and sense control. So the woman must be self-controlled. He cannot challenge the husband, trade words with the husband, speaks even more than the husband, scream more than the husband, is a sign that she doesn't understand her position. And such a relationship will not bring a happy home. So, these etiquettes must be known by a wife before she must be groomed, she must be trained by the mother to know how to relate to the husband. So, as human beings, sometimes there may be some misunderstanding, but the woman should always take a humble position, understanding that the husband is superior, and her position is not to compete with the husband, challenge the husband. So such a mood will enhance a happy marriage. So it said, Suhridena Vacha Madhurya means always desiring good for the husband and speaking to him with sweet words. Suhridena Vacha Madhuraya, speaking with sweet words. A person becomes agitated by so many material contacts in the outside world. Therefore, when he comes home, he must be treated by the wife with respect and sweet words. Actually, it is said that the women are the source of inspiration for the husband. The husband may be working outside, and he meets a lot of challenges outside. He meets people who annoy him, who insult him, argue with him, disturb him outside. So he comes home so that the wife should be in a mood to nullify all these negative things he is bringing from home, from outside. But if the wife adds to it, then there cannot be peace at home. So the wife should speak very sweetly. The wife should dress very nicely. The wife should be very welcoming. The wife should be very inspirational. So this way, whatever negativity he encounters outside there, it is neutralized by the wonderful partner at home, by the wife at home. But if the wife is not respectful, the wife does not speak sweetly, the wife does not, show any good manners towards the husband, then the home becomes a trouble spot. He comes on with all the burden from outside, and there's nobody in the house, or the wife is not prepared to help him out. So the situation becomes very terrible. So here it is said that the best religious principle for a woman is service to the husband without duplicity. She must also dress nicely to attract the husband's attention. Otherwise, some ladies may be trying to attract the husband's attention outside there. So the wife has a very important role to play in the life of the husband. And they need training. Training is required at home before they actually get married. But these days, our ladies don't even stay at home. Because of education, because of looking for jobs and the economic situation, people are running here and there, looking for something to eat, looking for something, some shelter. So they don't have the benefit of training at home. And so things become very difficult. But the standard is the girl should have some training, how to relate to the husband, how to serve the husband, how to respect the husband, how to speak sweetly to the husband. Then she can compliment the husband nicely, and they can have a very happy home, marital home. So these are some points that are to be considered when it comes to the behavior and attitude of a wife towards the husband. Any comment, any point? Otherwise, we move on to text 3. Text 3 says, Virsija kamam dambam cha usam lobam agam madam apramoto dhyata nityam teji yasam ato sayat. Working sanely and diligently, she pleased her very powerful husband, giving up all lust, pride, envy, greed, sinful activities, and vanity. Slide. Pride disturbs nuptial relationships. The wife should not be proud of her parental position. She must always be submissive to the husband and must give up all vanity. As soon as a wife becomes proud of her parentage, pride creates great misunderstanding between the husband and the wife, and their nuptial life is ruined. Devahuti was very careful about that, and therefore it is said here that she gave up pride completely. Devahuti was not unfaithful. The most sinful activity for a wife is to accept another husband or another lover. So, pride disturbs nuptial relationships. The wife should not be proud of her parental position. She must always be submissive to the husband and must give up vanity. If a congenial nuptial relationship has to be established, if they want to experience a happy family life, then these things are expected. Pride must be eschewed. Pride must be avoided, because when there is pride, the wife cannot be submissive to the husband. When there is pride, she will not listen to anything coming from the husband. And this will create great misunderstanding between the wife and the husband, the husband and the wife. Therefore, Devahuti was very careful about that. And therefore, it is said that she gave up pride completely. Just see, she was a princess living in the palace, and now she is married to a hermit, one who lives in the forest. He has no property. He has nothing. He sleeps on the floor or on some grass. He has no kitchen. There's no cooking. There's no cooking of food. They depend on fruits and roots and leaves. So it's a very tough situation for Devahuti. But she accepted that situation, and she adjusted to that situation. And she despite all the difficulty, she continued to follow the husband. So Devahuti was very careful about that, and therefore it is said that she gave up pride completely. Devahuti was not unfaithful. So that's another point. Unfaithfulness in marriage creates disturbance. If the wife is not faithful or the husband is not faithful, it will create disturbance. So both parties have to be faithful. Then there will be peace and happiness in the family. So this is very important. It says here, Kandarma Muni is described as Tejias man, most powerful. Although a wife may be equal to her husband in advancement in spiritual consciousness, she should not be vainly proud. Sometimes a wife comes from a very rich family and therefore becomes proud of her parentage. This is forbidden if a sweet nuptial relationship has to be established. It is said there are 4 kinds of enemies in a family: a debtor father, a promiscuous wife, a mother who accepts another man in the presence of her grown-up children, a foolish son. These are the 4 enemies in a family: a debtor father, a promiscuous wife, a mother who accepts another man in the presence of her grown-up children, and a son who is foolish. So a wife should never be unchaste. if she becomes unchaste, then she becomes an enemy to the family. Just as a man should not be a debtor. If the father became a debtor, he is also an enemy to the family. And if the son is foolish, he is also considered an enemy to the family. Therefore, it is said, Mayin dirbanda hirdaya, sadava samadarshana vase, kurvantimam bhaktias sat striya sat patim yataha. A chaste woman brings her gentle husband under control by service, just as a pure devotee who are equal to everyone and completely attached to the Supreme Lord brings the Lord under the devotee's control. So a woman can control the husband.
Maharaj,
Yes.
sorry for interrupting, because this particular aspect is so loaded that it should be, every sentence should be given purpose and more explanation before you go ahead. So, I beg, tell me the enemies of the family once again, I beg. Let me write
Okay,
them.
the four enemies.
She prays. They are not part of this class.
I beg.
The four enemies of the family. A debtor, father. And the father is in debt, is an enemy. If the father dies leaving behind a big debt for the family, is an enemy. A promiscuous wife. In fact, sometimes, this is from Chanakya Pandit. Chanakya Pandit sometimes uses the words a beautiful wife instead of a promiscuous wife. Some places say beautiful wife. The danger of a beautiful wife is that she attracts a lot of attention. Everybody is looking at her, and if she's not disciplined, she becomes loose. So Chanakya Pandit sometimes uses the word a beautiful wife is an enemy. And then it talks about a mother who accepts another man in the presence of grown-up children. So sometimes the father is dead, or maybe the father has taken sannyas and left home. And then the woman marries another man in the presence of the grown-up children. She's an enemy. And then, of course, a foolish son. So there are four: a debtor father, a beautiful wife, a mother who accepts another husband in the presence of grown-up children, and a foolish son. These are the four enemies in a family.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. So anyway, we move on. A chaste woman brings her gentle husband under control by service, just as a pure devotee brings the Lord under his control by his devotional service. So this is a very it's a secret, actually. Women can control their husbands without challenging them, without arguing with them, without rubbing shoulders with them, without, a show of pride. A woman can control her husband by service attitude. That is what this verse is saying here. There's a verse from the 9th canto, 4th chapter, verse 66. So one can bring the Lord under control by devotional service. Similarly, a wife can bring the husband under control by service attitude. So if the chaste woman serves the husband very nicely, automatically the husband becomes submissive. In fact, it is said that just by meditating on the food that she cooks, because it's our wives who cook for us. So just by meditating on the food she's cooking, that when my husband eats this food, he should do whatever I want. He should agree with me. He should, fulfill my desire. Just by thinking like this, it says that thought energy enters the food. So by service attitude, nice service attitude, submissive service attitude, by supplying the husband nice foodstuffs, and by always addressing the husband in a respectful way, the husband becomes submissive. He doesn't need to use harsh words or what do we say? He doesn't need to use strong words and loud voice, strong words to control the husband. No, just by this subtle way, rendering nice service, always attentive to the husband's needs, making sure he eats nicely. Just by this, the husband can be controlled. This is a verse from Bhagavatam. Now, a woman can control the husband by nice service, just as a devotee controls the Supreme Personality of Godhead by devotional service. So, Devahoti is applying this principle very excellently. And we will see the result, because she served her husband in such a wonderful way. Even though she's a princess coming from the city, coming from the palace of great comfort, she was ready to lie on the floor, wear tree bark as clothes, matted hair, eat roots, eat leaves, and just follow the husband the way she wanted it. So because she sacrificed her convenience to serve the husband, she became an exalted woman. And today we are hearing about her, we are studying about her, and we are happy to hear how she became the mother of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kapila Dev. So it is important that the ladies understand this principle, that you cannot fight your husband by trading words with them, but you can control them by another way, by service attitude, respect, and so on. So we move on. Time is not waiting for us. We only have 3 minutes left. Let's go to the next verse, 4 and 5. 4 and 5 says, Savai devarishi variastam manavim samanu vratam Daivat Garyasa Partiu Asasanam Mahasisaha Kalena Buyasa Shamam Karasitam Vrata Charyaya Prema Gadagadaya Vacha Pitida Kripaya Bravit. Translation: the daughter of Manu, who was fully devoted to her husband, looked upon him as greater even than providence. Thus she expected great blessings from him. Having served him for a long time, she grew weak and emaciated due to her religious observances. Seeing her condition, Kadarma, the foremost of celestial sages, was overcome with compassion and spoke to her in a voice choked with great love. The slide says the duty of a chaste wife is to adopt the circumstances of the husband. The word samanu vrata indicates that it is the duty of a wife to adopt the special circumstances in which the husband is situated. Of course, if the husband is as great as Kadarma Muni, then a very good result accrues from following him. But even if the husband is not a great devotee like Kadarma Muni, it is the wife's duty to adapt herself according to his mentality. That makes married life very happy. It is also mentioned herein that by following the strict vows of a chaste woman, Princess Devahuti became very skinny, and therefore her husband became compassionate. So Devahuti adopted the circumstances of the husband. She came from a palace. She came from a very opulent home, but she cannot demand from the husband that now I'm married to you, you must provide the same standard of living that I was experiencing at home. And she started to make such demands in the middle of the forest. It will be very difficult for Kadamba Muni. But of course, Kadamba Muni was a great yogi, as we shall see in the coming verses. He created a whole mansion, 70-story mansion, flying in the air. So nobody is as opulent as a great yogi. But Devahuti accepted the conditions in which he met the husband as a yogi. So he lived with him, he practiced austerity and became thin and emaciated with matted hair and tree bark as a dress. Very austere life, very, very austere life, comparing with where she came from. It was just too austere for her. But she accepted that life because she wanted to satisfy the husband. She wanted to please the husband. That is a sign of chastity. A woman undergoes a lot of austerity in her life for one thing, to satisfy the husband. When a woman has that mentality, then it's a sign that she's chaste. An unchaste woman is not ready for any challenges. If things are not comfortable, she's ready to call it quits. She wants to leave the marital home and find some other place where she can be comfortable. And that is a sign of unchastity. That means there's no chastity. But a chaste woman, rain or shine, she'll remain and continue to render her service to the husband. And in such a situation, the whole universe will come to the aid of such a woman. The whole universe will come to empower such a woman because she has inconvenienced herself so much just for the pleasure of the husband. So here, Devahuti is demonstrating that chastity. And they said a wife is expected to be of the same category as the husband. She must be prepared to follow the principles of the husband in order to bring harmony into their home. If the husband is a devotee and the wife is materialistic, there cannot be peace at home. Therefore, the wife must see the tendencies of the husband and follow them. The example is Gandhari and Dhritarashtra. Just because she does not want to feel superior to her husband, she blindfolded herself for the rest of her life. It's amazing. It is said that when Gandhari learned that her husband to be Dhritarashtra was blind, she immediately used different layers of silk cloth to tie her eyes, to tie her face, layers upon layers, so she cannot even perceive light, any form of light. So much so that she can be on the same level with her husband. She didn't want to feel superior to her husband because she's the wife and she can see and her husband does not see. She's superior. She will dictate to the husband. So she voluntarily gave up her own vision. It's amazing. And that is why she was also empowered. Gandhari was empowered with so much Shakti. And she wanted to use that Shakti to protect her son, Duryodhana. So she told Duryodhana to come to see her at night, naked, so that she will untie her volumes of silken cloth and then use the Shakti, use the power she's accrued from that voluntary blindness. She wanted to use it to fortify the body of Duryodhana so that no weapon can penetrate, nothing can penetrate Duryodhana's body. And Krishna, who was orchestrating the whole battle, the whole war, understood the mentality of Draupadi. So he intercepted. When Duryodhana was on the way to see the mother, Krishna was on leaving Hastinapur, but instantly Krishna appeared there and crossed Duryodhana's way and asked him, where is he going? He was going naked. He was completely naked, stark naked. Krishna said, hey, my dear Duryodhana, where are you going at this hour of the night, naked like this? And he said, oh, my dear Krishna, my wife, my mother said I should come and see her naked. So that's where I'm going. And Krishna said, look, you're a matured man. How can you go and see your mother naked? You're a grown-up man. You're no more a child. When you're a child, you can sit on your mother's lap naked. Your mother can even bathe you naked. But now you're a grown-up man. How do you go to your mother naked? It's unacceptable. It's morally it's not right. At least wear some gamcha. So he convinced Duryodhana. So Duryodhana went back and wore a gamcha, then went to see the mother. And when the mother removed the blindfold, she was very disturbed to see that Duryodhana was wearing a gamcha. So the power was infused in the whole of his body except where the gamcha covered, which is his waist. And that was the weak point that Krishna understood. And only that weakness Krishna relayed to Bhima, and Bhima could kill Duryodhana. Otherwise, Duryodhana could not be killed. If he had not worn that gamcha to cover her waist, if he had gone naked to see the mother, and the mother had empowered his whole body, it would have been difficult for Bhima to kill Duryodhana. But Krishna wanted Duryodhana killed. So he intervened, interfered, intercepted, and advised him to go back and wear some gamcha. And so he wore the gamcha. And when the mother looked at him, only the body, the area which was not covered, was fortified. So anyway, Draupadi is one of the chaste ladies, and it's mentioned here that she blindfolded herself just because she wanted to be on the same level like the husband. So I think our time is up, and since today is Sunday, we cannot hold you people for too long because some of you are managers and you have to prepare for the Sunday program. So I think unless there are some questions, and there are no questions, we call it a day, and then we'll continue next week. This chapter is a long chapter. It will take us maybe 2 or 3 weeks to finish it. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, His Grace Srivas Vanacari. Tama Krishna Prabhu, you want to ask a question?
Yes, please.
Cool. Go ahead.
Yes. Maharaj, I want to know whether Devahuti have a friend.
Well, it is not mentioned anywhere, though she had sisters. Swayambhuva Manu had 3 daughters and 2 sons. So Rachuti, Devahuti, and Which one is the third person? There are three daughters. I've forgotten the third name. Prachuti is one, Demahuti is one, and what is it?
Akuti.
Akuti. Thank you. Yeah, Akuti. Thank you. Akuti, Prachuti, and Demahuti. Those are the three daughters of Swayambhuva Manu. And then Uttanapat and Priyavrata. Those are the two sons. So there were 5 children. So I don't know of any friends outside of their family. So, but he could be friends to her sisters, Prachuti or Akuti. So, but it's not mentioned anywhere whether she had any friend, but it's possible that her own sisters, sometimes brothers become friends, sisters become friends, just as sometimes brothers become enemies, sisters become enemies, like that. So we can say her sisters were her friends. So
as time is over, we will put it here so that next week we'll continue.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Ms. Grace Srivas Vanacari, for your erudite and enriching class. We pray that Guru Krishna will continue to empower you and give you the intelligence to teach. We're very grateful.
Hare Krishna.
The devotees, I think we'll group all other questions relating to the class till the next class when we're doing the reflections of this class. On this note, I'll request all of the devotees to please kindly unmute. Let us loudly chant a powerful Hare Krishna Mahamanta to appreciate our teacher, His Grace Srivas Vanacari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Hare.
Panchakarpatarubyas Kripa Sindhubyas Vascha Patitanam Pavashnebhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Nama. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrindaya Ki Jai.
Krishna Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Our grace assembly devotees.